Yeah, that video that I uploaded this morning, I shot yesterday, but because it was pretty long in 1080p quality, it took, I don't know, like 2 hours to process it, and my computer was already dying. Like I was losing the battery, battery power, and yeah, I was losing the battery power, and so the local time was like 11:30. I said, that's it, I don't have time to upload today. And then I got up in the morning and my laptop charged overnight. I'm in Swift Current, Saskatchewan, and while I was doing the morning routine, and brush my teeth, got some coffee, and before that I did some exercises with my kettlebell. Lots of mosquitoes over here at night and in the morning, but now it seems okay. But I opened my window a little bit, but mostly I'm using most of my windows have mosquito nets on them, like in the sleeper, so which is pretty nice. And it's not too hot, so I'm just sitting in the truck. So what happened is I wanted to leave this morning, but then I started noticing that I'm running out of hours on my e-log because I drove so like 11-12 hours a day, because I wanted to deliver as fast as possible, because this is my first load with this broker, and I'd like to get more loads from them. And so first time you wanna make a good impression. And so I was driving, and then of course I realized that it's not that urgent, because the other guys, the other two big loads only got loaded the day before yesterday. And so now of course I'm going to British Columbia, and I decided to get yesterday was too late to get the Alberta permit, so I started doing it today. And I tried to do it online myself. The system could not find my new configuration, because on the Alberta website you can look up your old permit, and then you can use that as a model to create the new application. This way you save time, because all the spacings are there, right? But last time I was here in April, I had a 3+1 booster in the back, right? And so now I had to change it to 2+2, right? That's what I have now: tandem Jeep, tandem trailer, and tandem what they call common air booster. And I searched through that configuration there, which gives you like a formula, and I cannot find it. And I spent like a couple of hours trying to change the configuration. The website gives me an error, and it was already past 9, and Alberta office closed at 9. So I said, okay, I'm gonna try in the morning. And they open at 7 Alberta time, like very hard-working people, right? So I call them at 7:05, and the lady helps me with the configuration. So she gives me so I don't have to do the tables, like what your trailer is, your truck, she just gave me the formula that I have to put in there in the configuration, and that will give me the proper diagram. And I said, okay, I guess I can do it from here myself, because that was the stumbling block. I couldn't get past that configuration screen. So now I have my vehicle configuration. Everything is fine. I did this before. It's all online, right? But then I noticed something. Like on the next screen, that's where you enter your weights, your axle weights, your group of axle weights, And I look at that little table there, and top right corner it says season, spring. Wait a second. I look at my phone, June 11th, right? Yeah, June 11th. Like, what kind of spring is this? And then I look at the table where they conveniently show you the maximum weights, and then you put in what you want to pay for, right? Because it's all money. And I look at the maximum weights and it says 17,000 kgs, which is just over 37,000 pounds per tandem. 17. And that's where it clicked, like, wait a second, spring 17. And I'm still talking to this lady. I said, hey, by the way, I got one more question about the weights. Like, it says here spring restrictions, like, what is that? And she says, yeah, we're still on spring axle weights. I said, so I cannot get more than 17,000 kgs per tandem? She says, not until 1 minute past midnight on Monday, June 15th. I said, okay, so on June 16th in the morning, if I order this, I will have regular summer weights? She says, no. Summer weights do not start until like July, I think she said. She says, what you have now, what you will have on Tuesday, it's called post-thaw weights, THAW, right? And so it goes up from 17,000 kgs to 19,000 kgs. And I don't need 19 on every tandem, but I know my Jeep, I'm at least 40,000 pounds, which is about 18,000 kgs. So, and I cannot change that, because I know from the gauge, I can see that the Jeep is heavy. You know, like the truck is not, the truck is light, the drives, the rear tandems are, you know, not heavy. Because I can see from airbags and, you know, based on my experience, but I see that the Jeep definitely has 19,000 kgs, right? And that's why I got, when I was asking for my Saskatchewan permit, I said, give me like, what's the maximum for a tandem in Saskatchewan? They said 19.8, and that's what I paid, 226 bucks Canadian. And she gave me 19,800 kgs on the Jeep, which is like, what, 45,000 pounds. And so I need something like that for Alberta. And turns out I cannot have it. And that just gave me kind of like monkey wrench, you know, that just threw like a monkey wrench into my plans. So I had to email my dispatch and I said, guys, I'm sorry, but when I booked this load, the idea was to deliver in Saskatchewan, right? So I thought Alberta, I didn't care too much about Alberta because I was not going there, right? But I said, I thought, you know, this being middle of June, the weights would be already normal, like, you know, regular year-round weights. And so they understood that. They didn't blame me. I said, I have to sit here. Of course, I said, plus I'm running out of hours, so I have to sit and wait. I cannot leave, I cannot enter Alberta until Tuesday morning, or Tuesday past midnight. Like, you know, like 1 o'clock in the morning. And actually Alberta allows night driving, as long as you have the lights. And they said, oh, that's okay. And they said, by the way, by that time, those two guys with the other two heavy loads might be there as well. And so they said, then it's easier for us to unload everybody together in British Columbia. So it's okay. So I cannot ask them for more money. I already got paid for the first trip from Halifax to Saskatchewan. Saw the money in my account yesterday, so the guys were good, and they gave me a good rate to BC. But I talked to BC this morning. I said, maybe, you know, maybe I can order the BC permit, because you never know, maybe it'll take a week, right? And so I was trying to do it over the phone, and I said that before we go into all these spacings and weights, is it okay to order the permit now? Because I don't need it until Thursday. Like, I figured from here where I'm sitting in Swift Current, it's about 500 miles to Edmonton. and then from there it's about 4 or 5 hours to BC border. So I definitely need 2 days, and to keep it on, to be on the safe side, I figured I would need BC for Thursday, right? If I leave here Tuesday, or maybe I can get closer to Alberta border, so I can order the BC for Thursday. And the guy said, yeah, it's a bit too far. He says, why don't you call us Tuesday, Wednesday, or even the early morning on Thursday? And I said, well, I just don't want to get stuck in case you guys want some kind of a bridge approval or something, or can you tell me that it will be okay? And he asked me a few questions like, what's the load, are you wide, high? I said, no, just long, 105 feet, 32 meters long, bumper to bumper. And I said gross weight will be about 80,000 kgs. And I said, this is how I'm going from Edmonton west, and then 16.5 south. And the guy says, yeah, I don't see any restrictions, should not be a problem. So he says, yeah, you can call us even on Thursday morning. He said it just takes like 10-15 minutes, like whatever we need to enter your info over the phone. He says, just make sure you have your axle spacings and everything. And I said, yeah, I got all this. I got, I was ready. I have all these pieces of paper here with dimensions, with weights, and I got ready my files on the computer with my spacings. And the guy says, no, it's too early. So call back basically next week. And then I figured, I look at my Saskatchewan permit, and it expires tomorrow at lunchtime. And I did not know if they charge anything extra to extend it. I know they said when I was doing this, that lady said the maximum is 7 days. But I did not think that I would need it for such a long time, right? So I only asked her to give me 48 hours. And so yeah, it's expiring tomorrow at lunchtime. And so I called them and I said, hey, is it possible to extend it till next Tuesday or Wednesday? And they said, what's the permit number? So I gave them the permit number, and they said, is everything the same, like width, height? I said, yeah, it's the same load. I said, I cannot enter Alberta because of spring weight restrictions. And because he was also asking me, like, why do you need longer time? And I said, that's why, because they're still on spring weight restrictions. I cannot get as much weight as you guys gave me on the Saskatchewan permit. And so he said, okay. So he says, if I give you Wednesday, June 17th, expiration lunchtime on Wednesday, I said, yeah, that's fine. That's more than enough. I said, do I owe you anything? The guy says, no. Okay. So he sent me the same permit number. He just amended the permit online, and he says, I'll send you a corrected copy. And so I saw on my email, I got the new permit. I checked the dates. Yep. Expires on Wednesday. So now I don't have to rush because there's a scale over here. Maybe, I don't know, 10-15 minutes away. And I didn't want to, I thought I would leave tomorrow morning and get closer, like real close to Alberta border, and wait there. But there's one truck stop is about 15-20 minutes away, but on Tracker Path, like the reviews are bad, the parking lot is small, and the only decent truck stop I found is in Gulf Lake. There's an Esso in Gulf Lake, Saskatchewan on Trans-Canada 1, and I looked at the pictures on Google Maps, Street View, and I look at satellite photos. That's what you gotta do sometimes, when you have such a long rig. And it looks fine, and I see the reviews are great. People like that place, but that's only 55 kilometers from here, 30 miles. Like, what's the point? I'd rather reset my logbook, right? So I'm gonna stay here at least for, what's the reset here in Canada? 34 hours? Or 36? I think 36, that's US. I don't remember the last time I did a reset in Canada, but that's the good news, is that I'm gonna stay here. And I disconnected the truck from the trailer so I can go shopping as a personal conveyance. So went to the shopping mall just down the street here, got some food, got some smoked check this out. I was looking for smoked salmon and got this smoked steelhead, smoked maple pepper steelhead, and it says caught in the clear cool waters of Lake Diefenbaker. Lots of protein, low carbs, you know. So I got 2 of these. So one will be for today, one will be for tomorrow, because I don't believe in refrigerated food. And then got some all beef salami, got some cheese, and then when I came back, I checked the fuel price. Over there at Co-op, it was higher than here. Here it's like 89 cents per liter Canadian. So I came in here, used my credit card, got around almost 600 liters of diesel, and got my DEF, so like I'm full, ready to rock and roll. And then yesterday I was able to find my color antifreeze, which is red. Because yeah, sometimes, you know, it's I have to add a little bit after a while, but I don't see any leaks. It just probably goes into thin air. So that's the plan. Just take it easy. I don't have to worry about the permits until next week. Oh, and the guy from BC confirmed I will need 1 pilot car. Okay, so I start searching online, Google. I find one company has good reviews. I check their website. It says we've been in business since 1978. I call the number. The lady takes my my name, my phone number, says what it is that I'm hauling, my length. And she says, oh, and I said, you guys charge both ways? Because they are based near Vancouver. And I need the car from the Alberta border, Alberta and BC, like 400 miles away. I said, do you charge a return trip? Are you gonna charge me for the empty miles for your car to get to me? Because I thought if they do, then I might, you know, find somebody like from Edmonton maybe. And she said, no, we don't charge you we only charge you one way when we escort you. Okay, good news. I said, what about admin fees? I said, I use this other company. They charge me $200 admin fees because I use a credit card. And the name of the company starts with N, as in Nova. And she says, no, when people pay with credit cards, we look at it as our cost of doing business. We do not charge you admin fees. I said, I like that. So what's the bad news? The bad news is that I said, what's your rate? She says, the rate is $1.65 per kilometer. Oh boy. The rate for that company in Eastern Canada was $1.35, and they did give me a discount. It didn't show on the paperwork, so I paid only $1.25 per kilometer. These guys charge $1.65. So I'm telling you, when I'm selling the truck and trailer, I'm becoming a pilot. $1.65. So I said, I know it's 400 miles. So what do you figure? About $1,000 Canadian? She says, yeah, 1,100, 1,200, somewhere there. When do you need the car? I said, I don't have the BC permit yet. I'm gonna get it next week, but they confirmed I will need 1 pilot for the day driving and 2 pilots if I want to drive at night, which I'm not crazy to do that in the mountains of BC. So I said, just 1 pilot. I said 32 meters long, legal width, legal height, just long and heavy. And she said, okay, I got all the info, so somebody will contact you. I gave her my name. I spelled my last name. So I said, that's my company. I said, you're talking to the CEO, chairman of the board, and the driver. And she said, cool. So that's what's happening. That's the latest breaking news coming out of Swift Current, Saskatchewan. And later I'll just wait for the heat to subside a little bit. I want to do maybe some truck watching over here, because right there, that's Trans-Canada 1, and it's pretty busy. Yeah, this is S, so the truck stop is half empty. The restaurant is closed. But you know, we're gonna set up a camera later on and see what we can see on this Highway 1 going west and east. And that's where, you know, that way, if you go that way, like 5 minutes away, there's a big shopping center with all kinds of goodies. Oh, and I went to this Auckland's Granger. Where is it? Hold on. Nice looking Pete. Yeah, over there. Auckland's Granger, industrial safety fasteners, right? And I remember that, you know, I need to find socket to unscrew those bolts between the deck and the bogies. And a friend of mine suggested, he says, a lot of people have those air guns, but what they don't have is they don't have these deep sockets, because remember when I changed the original Fontaine bolts, the guy who gave me these big bolts, he says he doesn't have the short ones, so he gave me long ones, and so now the bottom of the bolt sticks out, so you need a really deep socket, like at least, you know, 3 inches to open that. And so this friend of mine, he says, you know, air guns are not a problem, but he says the socket can be a problem, because most people will not have such a big socket. So he says, if I were you, I would just buy this socket somewhere, and then when you need to change those you know, nuts, just find somebody with an air gun, like any tire shop, right? They can do it. Any quick oil change place can do it, like for trucks. And so I went there, I said, guys, do you have this? And he says, what's the size of the nut? I said, I'm not sure. It looks like 2 inches or maybe slightly more, but I said, you know, I can give you something like my credit card or something, my driver's license, and if you give me a couple of nuts, or, you know, I can go and check them, make sure they're the same, and so that make sure that that socket is the same. But basically the guy went in, or he says, you cannot come in. There's a sign on the door says curb service only. So the door was locked, and when he saw me outside, and the sign says wait in your vehicle and one of our representatives will come out and serve you. And so he saw me outside the door, he unlocked the door, he comes out with a mask on, and he says, yeah, it's curb service, so what can I help you with? And I said, yeah, I'm looking for this socket. And he said, hold on. He went back, was going like 5 minutes, and he says, no, all we got is those shallow regular sockets, you know, like maybe 1.5, 2 inches, so they will not fit. I said, okay, how about the last time when I had to grease the Jeep and the truck, you know, I spent a fortune on those small packets, you know, they were like $2.99 each, and I bought like 8. I said, do you have these, you know, tubes? And he went back, he came out, showed me. I said, yeah, that's the one, like high pressure, like all-purpose grease for high pressure applications. And two tubes were 19 bucks Canadian, which is way cheaper. So I used up a whole tube. When I disconnected the truck from the trailer, I greased the 5th wheel. And I know the Jeep is fine. Oh, and by the way, I was talking yesterday about the dog tracking and how I cured that with greasing the 5th wheel. Now yesterday I went into the Flying J east of Regina. Forgot the name of the town, but it's right on Trans-Canada 1. I go there, and I decided this time, you know, usually when I do a U-turn I go left, because, you know, it's easier to see from the driver's side, right? And, you know, the trailer was still kind of like, I could see the Jeep and the trailer that was still not properly aligned. There was still like a slight difference when you can look at the sides. And so I thought, let's see what happens if I turn around going to the right. And so I turn around, big, swing, and then I start driving. I see things got much worse. The trailer goes like this. The booster goes like this, because I see the rear axle sticks out more than I can see in the mirror. So the last axle of the booster is more to the left than the first axle. So basically the Jeep was going like this. And so I finally understood that it's not the trailer, it's the Jeep. I mean the Jeep, the booster. And yeah, in the first case I was also talking about the booster. So the trailer was going like, I think, yeah, trailer was going like this, and this is the front. It was going like this, and the booster was going like this, trying to correct it. But of course that cannot be caused by the trailer, because otherwise those axles would are loose. Because then gradually I went over a couple of potholes and the trailer got straight. But at first it was like real scary. It was like, I don't know, I could see it was 4 or 5 inches in the front. It was really a bit, I got upset, like Jesus. But then I figured out, that's what happens because of the weight on the booster, it can shift a little bit, right? And but then it corrects itself, especially once you go with some potholes, it corrected. Then I keep looking, straight line, almost perfect. So it's definitely not the trailer, it's not the alignment, it's just the nature of the beast with this with the booster. But also I was thinking more and more that maybe 3+1 is not such a bad idea, Easier to back, easier to store on the trailer when you separate the spreader, because right now my booster, it's huge. It's a spreader and 2 axles. It's about 10,000 pounds. It's not easy to lift, And I'm thinking, okay, next time when I have a chance, I'm gonna convert back to 3+1. And then I call Alberta to find out the permit situation, and they're telling me they're on the spring restriction table. So as far as axle weights are concerned, and again, I see a clear benefit of having 2+2, because I tried them +1 axle, you don't get as much weight as 2+2. So they all like tandem. You see, you can get 17 now, then as of Tuesday you can get 19,000 kgs, So I cannot change anything. So even with this pretty much 100,000 pound load, it's good to have 2+2.